as I was saying, Algol 68, one programming language that contributed on different user-defined data structures, reference types. It contributed in dynamic arrays, okay, and it impacted all the imperative languages such as Pascal, C, C++, Java, and Perl. Okay, so the orthogonal design had a long impact. In the next part, we'll learn about few programming languages such as Pascal, C, and Perl. These programming languages were developed for use of general purpose. Okay, that means it will be these are programming languages that are simple, okay, that are small, okay, and they are most of the time they are used for either teaching or doing simple tasks. Okay, the first one is Pascal. So before starting the description, let us go to the timeline of Pascal. So here, can you see where the Pascal comes in? This is here. So Pascal is a programming language that actually developed from Algol. Okay, so it's came from Algol programming language, and also at the same time, when Pascal was developed, it was time around 1971. Another programming language is being developed, that is C. So this is a programming language that was being developed in 1971, and Algol, Pascal also came from or developed from Algol, such as C. So the difference is Pascal came from Algol W, okay, and C came from Algol 60. So there's a little bit of difference, but the core idea is same in both cases. Here. So now in the Pascal, whenever this programming language was developed, okay, it was developed by a member of Algol 68 committee, okay, and it was designed for teaching structured programming. So this was a programming language that was main idea was so that you can teach programming language to other people. The Algol programming language was simple, it was small, okay, there's only few ideas you need to understand, okay, few tokens. It has nothing really new, so it was not just new, it was just simple, okay, and it has the largest impact on teaching programming because from the mid 1970 until 1990s it was the most widely used language for teaching programming. So right now what we do, we use C programming language, but before that, okay, from 1970 to 1990, Pascal was the language that everyone used to teach programming language. So this is a very simple and small. But after 1970, we started to adopt C programming. Now, I don't have to say much. You already know a lot about C programming, but let me just go through it. It was designed for system programming. That means efficiency was the main issue. It had to be efficient. It had to be light. Okay. So when I say programming language is light, what does it actually mean? Okay. Light means, let's say that I will write, I want to do same task in two programming language. Let's say C, and let's say I want to do it in PHP. Okay. Oh, sorry. So this is a simple task that I want to do in C and PHP. I want to take a variable A, I want to print the variable. Now, in case of C, let's say it will take, let's say 1 kilobyte of memory, and it will take, let's say one second, okay, of time to execute. In case of PHP, okay, it will, if it takes, let's say that 5 kilobyte of memory or 2 seconds to execute, in that case I will say that C is a programming language that is fast because it takes less amount of time, okay, and it is light because the same instructions that we have in C, that is print A, let's remove the time, I guess you can, the same instruction that I have in C, that is print A, takes 1 kilobyte of memory to a resource to actually execute. In case of PHP, it takes 5 kilobyte to execute. So in this way, we can say that this is lightweight. The next idea is that, so it evolved from primary of BCLP. We have seen the timeline. Let me go back again. So you see that C programming language, it came from a programming language called BCPL, which also came from CPL. So the idea is nothing new, it was just a modified version. Here, it had powerful set of operators, okay, but C doesn't have a good type checking. Still we don't have that one. And it initially spread to Unix. So Unix was the first operating system that actually started using C programming, and as Unix got popular, so is C. And it had many areas of applications. For now, we use it only for two purposes. We use it for system programming, like if you have a SIM card in your mobile phone, okay, uh, the operating system of the SIM card, okay, they use C programming there, okay. So because SIM card only have a small amount of memory, and to design the operating system of the SIM to do the basic communication, it needs a very light programming language, and that's where the C comes in. Okay, next is if you are using learning programming language, that's why we also see. And another one is competitive programming. Okay, so if you again, the reason is same, because it is fast. But apart from this, still C is used actually in many areas. And another programming language that is almost similar to C, okay, that you can also use in Unix, okay, is called Perl. So Perl is a scripting language that actually contains a certain instructions to be executed. To understand Perl, I will give you a very simple example. Let's think about you have downloaded a subtitle for a movie. Okay, now what happens? Some part of the subtitle is actually not correct. Maybe the subtitle is lagging behind, okay, or maybe in the subtitle, okay, a certain word have been changed, okay, or certain portion of the change. Just so the certain part of the code subtitle you need to change. So normally what we do, okay, if you use a Perl script, you can easily rewrite the text, okay, you can check for a certain pattern and you can replace the pattern, okay, you can make sure that let's say the time is every subtitle needs to be forwarded by 5 seconds, okay, so what you can do, you can just go to the each timing and forward it, add 5 seconds to it, okay, so you can add 5 seconds to it. Now these operations can be done on using other players as well, because in they have the integrated scripts, but you can do it manually in a text file using the Perl programming language. Okay, and Perls are statically typed. In the beginning of the course we studied the difference between dynamically typed and statically typed, okay, and it has some powerful operations, but they are also very dangerous, okay, because you could easily manipulate text files using this scripts. Not only text file, you can manipulate the uh, abstracted files as well, okay, and it is used as a general purpose language. Now what you need to remember from Perl, there are many features are given here. You have to understand that we're talking about three programming language that was developed in the same amount of time: Pascal, C, and Perl. Okay, in both of these programming languages, okay, it was mainly used for general purpose. Okay, it was first Pascal was used for teaching, C was used for teaching and system programming and many other purpose, but it was efficient. And Perl is also a powerful language, okay, that was scripting language. So just remember the idea, okay, you don't have to go into the details. I will show you an example of the Perl, what you can be done, or you can just search it from the YouTube as well. So we talked about this already, what is the statically typed, so I will skip this. And we talked about Prolog as well. Okay, so this is the last one. Okay, just two more slides, then we're done. So this is the one of the programming language that is called Ada. Okay, it was developed in a way that we call the largest design effort. That means scientists, okay, they actually sit together that no, we need a language that can be used forever. Okay, let's say just English. Okay, so they have decided that English will be used for all the cases of international communication. Same way, they wanted to design a programming language that will be used for all the cases and all the time, even though we have seen this before, because whenever we are designing PLI, we have seen the same, that they wanted to develop a programming language that can be used for both scientific computing and business computing. But the thing is, as the more and more people have started using computers, the use of the diversity of computers also kept changing, right? More and more options are getting added. So they actually take a huge design effort, involved hundreds of engineers, scientists, okay, and a lot of monies, and they almost tried it for 8 years. starting from 1975 and so on. So they developed a programming language which was named after Ada Byron. I think all of you know it. Okay, she's the first programmer. Okay, and they decided to develop this programming language. Now this is one programming language that actually introduced a lot of new concepts that we still use today. It introduced the packages. Okay, that's how, and it also support the data abstraction. It uses the exception handling in a detailed manner, even though the exception handling was introduced before, but this is in the Ada. They conceptually elaborately introduced the exception handling. We had generic program unit. Okay, that is basically a function I will discuss in the next slide. And we had concurrency, that where we can do multiple tasks at the same time. That's what we do now. Okay, but even though after a lot of contribution, it had a very competitive design. Okay, it included all that was then known in the software engineering and language design, so that is a big plus. Okay, so Ada is a programming language. Actually previously the knowledge was scattered, like the C program had some advantage, Pascal had some advantage, but they were all scattered into different places. Okay, so what they did, they combined the best features and all the features of all the programming languages into one. So if you could learn Ada, because that means you could actually have the idea of all the features of programming language currently in that time. So this is a one big feature. And then we had the first compilers were very difficult, but they were actually because you had to implement so many features. Okay, but after the language design was complete, there's another usable compiler that was designed. So it's difficult to remember all this, but I think you can remember Ada, because this is a programming language that combined the features of all the programming languages through an effort of 8 years. A lot of scientists worked together. Okay, and they introduced a very nice concepts, and these are not only these four are most important, that's why they are mentioned here. Okay, so just to give you an idea how the Ada programming language looks like, this is the idea of Ada. So we had the procedure that we call function. Okay, then what we do in the function, then we had different assignment operator. Okay, so all of it we're talking about in 1975, right? Okay, so you see, comparing to the time of 1975, this program actually looks very close to the current programs we have. Okay, and it also introduced the structure of packages that we can use here. Okay, and we actually use package extensively in any all the programming, such as in the assignment that I have given you. Okay, we'll use the Pygames, which is also just a library or a package. Okay, so here, oh, just one more. So if you don't know what is a generic unit program, the idea of code reuse arises actually from when you are developing a large program. We need to reuse the code more and more, and that's where the generic unit concept comes in. This is basically a function. Okay, whenever you write a function, previously it is called a generic unit. So the definition is here: a generic unit is a subprogram or a package that defines algorithms in terms of types and operations that are not defined until the user initiates them. Okay, so the normal functions, you have to write everything, you have to define the operations, but in the generic unit you don't have to define them. Okay, just whenever you initiate the variables or initiate the function call, only then it gets executed. So a little bit different, you can compare them with the library function. So that's all. I will discuss Ada for the next class.